This is where you guys belong. This is where all of your hard work, this is where from August on, it is all paid up to this point. You listen, you hear other teams, we have a great defense. Hey, this team has this running back. This team has this wide receiver. So it's not about the parts. It's about the sum, okay? We play with 11. We play 11 offense, we play 11 defense, we play 11 special teams. Why? Because it is a team. Win is a team, and that's what we do. Win is a team. We are back at it. We are back at it tomorrow. Okay? With one left. It's not complete.
Everybody, and welcome once again to the Beat Grind, your weekly dose of high school football in Connecticut. And we have reached the final weekend of the regular season. It is championship weekend. I can't believe we're here. I say that every year. It's been a long and torturous and just grueling season filled with rain and weather and more rain and more weather. We had a few nice days in the end, then we got more rain during semifinal Sunday, but we have fought through it all to get to championship weekend. 12 teams in, 6 leave with titles. I'm excited. I can't wait. We have it all set up for you. Welcome. I am your host, Sean Patrick Bowley. With me, as always, is Pete Paguaga. Pete! We did not have a good day of the picks, did we?
No, I mean, I'll tell you this, at halftime, I felt real comfortable at all the games. Real comfortable. But look, a lot of things happened in the second half of these games. The quarterfinals, the semifinals were great. Yeah. Looked like every game, really, except for a handful of games, were some pretty great games. I mean, look, the weather impacted a handful of them. You could say some teams who passed the ball really well were not able to move the ball, but I mean, the majority of the semifinal games were pretty good, even if the teams aren't, they were still pretty close games. Some shocking results, some cool things, some great storylines. There's a lot to dive into for championship weekend.
It's going to be great. I mean, there are, like you said, there's going to be a lot. There were a lot of crazy results out there. A lot of unexpected teams are playing for state championships. I mean,
hello, Watertown.
Yeah, hello, Watertown. Barlow in Class Double S. That's a crazy one. I mean, even in Double L. Let's actually just run it all down for you. Let's just cut to the chase here, get straight to it, and running down our 12 participants and our 6 championship games. Beginning at the bottom, as always, we start with Class S. It is a rematch of the 2021 showdown between Cromwell Portland and Bloomfield. Cromwell Portland, the 4 seed, beating up Ansonia 28-0. They will play Bloomfield, which defeated Notre Dame Fairfield 20-14 at Rentschler Field, 10:30 a.m. Now they switched them this year. They moved the Rentschler games, the classes that were at Rentschler last year. They shifted them to a root field at CCSU, and the CCSU games have all gone to to Rentschler Field. So the Class S championship, which was at a root last year, is now the morning game at.
I love that for Bloomfield because I talked to Ty Outlaw last year before the game at a root, and I was like, "How do you like being here?" And he's like, "Well, I'll tell you, Pete." He goes, "It's better than being at Trumbull High School." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, we lost in 2019 at Trumbull High School. We lost in 2021 at Trumbull High School. Now we're at Central. They obviously lost last year, so maybe being at Rentschler is what they need to bring home another championship."
So they will start things off at Rentschler Field, 10:30 a.m. on Saturday in the Class Double S game. We're going to jump to Rentschler Field, the afternoon game between Watertown and number 7 Barlow. That is at 4:30 p.m. in the M game back at CCSU. It's the early afternoon game, the 1:45 game. Hand faces number 2 seed Rockville in a showdown there in Class M. In Class Double M, we go to the morning game at CCSU. Double M is also the morning. They're all the same slots, basically. But North Haven will defend its title against number 3 seeded Wilton, 10:30 a.m. at CCSU. In Class L, Number 8 seeded Darien faces who else but number 2 New Canaan in the middle game at Rentschler Field, 1:30 p.m. The old rivals, the old Turkey Bowl rivals, go at it again for the 5th time in 20 years, the 2nd time in a season. And finally, in Class Double L, a big stunner. Number 1 Staples will not play Greenwich, but will play number 3 West Haven in the nightcap at a root field at CCSU. So there you go, Pete. Those are our 6 finalists. Our 12 finals and our 6 finals. Should be, it's a good, I guess, distribution. It stinks that you can't play all. People were yelling at me that we should play 6 games over 2 games at one site. I mean, what do you? I don't know what to tell you.
You know what? I'll take 6 games at one site over 2 days and moving any games to Boyle Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully we don't hear any
but
calls.
Here's the thing is all people want to do this time of the year is complain. That's what everyone's doing. It's just complaining. We didn't get it our way. Complain. I mean, right after Thanksgiving, it just was like, we're just all going to complain until we get to the championships. And I'm sure we're going to get complaints after the championships. No one could just be happy.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's that time of year where you see everything you've worked for, and the people whose seasons end short or something happened that maybe they thought shouldn't have happened. We saw Cheshire last week. We'll see Sheehan in a little bit. Some teams that kind of feel like a little jilted here. But hey, that's the way it goes. That is what happens in high school football. You can't get everything your way and think we don't have replay. We don't have pro guy, people making tons of money and on both sides and refs making tons of money. Everybody's just kind of doing this mostly for the love of the game here. So, it's that time of year though.
Even us.
Yeah. Yeah, even us. That's a great point. But Pete, I mean, just overall, just kind of looking at it, we have 2 8 seeds playing in state championship games. You mentioned Watertown just coming out of nowhere. The first 5-5 team, I believe, to make a state final. Granted, now remember, this is the first time they have 6 playoff championship finals, but with 8 teams each. So you're going to you have Fairfield Prep being the first team with a losing record getting in. Obviously Watertown getting in. We have 3 of last year's champions back to defend their titles. One of them, not Greenwich. Surprising. If you had asked me before which of these teams would probably get back, I would have said Greenwich months ago. But actually, I did say Barlow, didn't I? Didn't I pick Barlow to win it all? So there they are, helping me out. But that's, and then the conference of all of them that had the best day, Greenwich notwithstanding, is the FCIAC. Just getting 4 teams into the final, which is, obviously they're guaranteed to win one because Darien and New Canaan play each other. But you have Staples, the current number 1 team in the state, playing West Haven in Double L, and then you have Wilton playing North Haven in a very familiar match between those teams in Class Double M. Just Pete, your overall take of these finals.
I think I like a lot of these matchups. I think a lot of these matchups are good. Double L, Staples, West Haven. I mean, I was at this game week 1, right? These teams are vastly different than 14 weeks ago. I mean, we've seen Staples' offense kind of grow. We've seen West Haven, continue with these big plays. They get better. In L, I mean, Darien, New Canaan, this is the second time they're playing in 2 weeks? But we've seen that this rivalry, anything can really happen. New Canaan's still here with their defense. Darien, young quarterback, and Ben Rolop slinging the ball around. They have the young, tall receivers. I think this run for Darien might catapult them to a top 5 preseason vote next year, no matter what happens in this game. I mean, this is so great for them. North Haven back. I mean, what a tumultuous season for the Nighthawks. They have a chance here to win a second straight title after the first one eluded them for so long. And then you have Wilton, EJ D'Annunzio. They call Daenerys Targaryen the breaker of chains. Well, we got EJ D'Annunzio, the breaker of losing streaks. He has, ever since he took over, he broke the long playoff drought. He beat Darien, he beat Staples, he beat New Canaan, he's beaten Ridgefield. You got him back in the finals now for the first time since '95. Can he lead Wilton to their first championship since '85? I mean, he breaks every other streak that they've had a snap. Then on the other side, right, Hand is back. Like, how appropriate. Texas is back in the CFP playoffs. Hashtag Hand is back, and they get Rockville. You know, look, this Rockville team has been to the semifinals every year since 2019. They've been to the playoffs every year that Eric Knickerbocker has been there, right? Sooner or later, one of these games has to go their way, right? Is it this one? Who knows? But they're back in it. Then in Double S, I mean, great job by Coach TJ Cavalier and his coaching staff. You lose the player of the year in Danny Shaven. Everyone expected them to take a step back. And to be honest, they did take a step back. Right? They lost 4 games in the regular season, right? But they stick to what they do well. They even threw a little wrinkle pass there to beat Sheehan to get here. They're the favorites in this game, right? And you got Watertown on the other side. They were 1-3 at one point. They were 3-5 at one point. Now they're 5-5. And I think Dave Stewart sent me a number. There's something like in their last, was it the 4 games to get to 7-5? They're outscoring their opponents by 91 points.
Yeah.
Like, they're playing so well right now. They're playing their best ball at the right time. Then obviously in Bloomfield, 5th straight trip to the finals. They haven't won one since 2018. Darien Foster is starting in his 3rd finals. Can he get a win? And then obviously on the other side, you got Cromwell Portland, the ones who beat them in 2021. But Owen Brunk and Teddy Williams aren't walking through that door. Neither is Cole Brisson. So what is Cromwell going to do? Can they knock off Bloomfield again? If they knock off Bloomfield again, I think we, put them in the upper echelon of that Class S, kind of club where it's Ansonia and Bloomfield. Well, if Cromwell Portland could do it again, I'd put him up there.
Yeah, Cromwell Portland, one of 2 Pequot teams playing for state championships. The SEC, we didn't really mention them, but they have 3 teams. Sheehan obviously going down, but the SEC has 3 teams playing for state championships, and then Bloomfield being the lone CCC, and then obviously you mentioned Watertown being the lone NVL representative. Cross and Ansonia, which was just like we mentioned last week, put together with duct tape. Going down in defeat, not after a fight, but lost to Cromwell Portland 28-0. But let's just kind of run this stuff down. Let's just tell you exactly what it was. Like you said, Pete, it was an eventful state semifinal round, starting over at the Derby's DeFilippo Field, where Ansonia suddenly a shell of its former self to injuries to both backs, Makai Ingram and Sean Richards, and the lineman Aiden Mercer, but still managed to hang around with number 4 seeded Cromwell Portland. And Mecca Yearwood scored on a 64-yard TD run early, but though Ansonia limited the damage, they just couldn't score in 2 trips inside the 20-yard line, and Cromwell Portland finally pulled away with Jesse Elfreich's 2 late TD passes, 74 yards to Tyler Sapola, and Vaughn Payne with a short TD catch, and O.C. Yearwood's 80-yard touchdown run. In the other game, a barn burner up at Bloomfield's Rubin Stadium, down 14 at halftime, Pete, the Warhawks, despite losing quarterback Darien Foster early in the second half due to a hamstring injury, rallied with 20 unanswered points in the second half. They got within 2 on a short TD pass from Foster with 10:53 remaining. Notre Dame Fairfield was trying to run the clock out with late in the 4th quarter, but fumbles the snap in the exchange, and who else but Davian Kerr, Davian with an E, Kerr having a great season, recovered at the Notre Dame 23 with 2:17 remaining. And with 36 seconds left on 3rd and goal, powers into the end zone, and Bloomfield, like you said, Pete, knocks off the Lancers and reaches its 5th straight Class S final, something we haven't seen since the Cheshire years, going to all those titles, although Cheshire won all those titles back then. But that's what happened with Class S. That game obviously will be at Rentschler Field, 10:30 a.m. Saturday. In Class Double S, Watertown defeating their NVL rivals G&H Co-op 21-0. How about a game by Brady Gamby, who ran for 152 yards on 27 carries and 2 touchdowns. He also threw for a TD to Adam Hassinger and also had an interception, while Aiden Airline ran for another 79 yards on 20 carries, and Watertown punched its tickets to its first state final since 1986. Watertown, as I mentioned, is the first 5-5 team to reach the state final and only one of 2 8 seeds playing for state championships. On the other side of the bracket, another barn burner. Barlow coming all the way back to defeat our darling team. Sheehan, the defending champions, rallied from 16-7 down on the road at Riccatelli Field to stun the Titans 17-16 on Andrew Watson's 25-yard touchdown pass from Jack Gilbert with 6 seconds remaining. Just an unbelievable play. Let's watch it. Watson outleaps his defender and hauls it in, and just as he crosses the goal line, rips it out of his hands to send Barlow, without Danny Shaven this time, back to the final. And here's Watson on the winning play.
It was just a fade to me. Gilbert comes to the line and tells me, just run your butt off. And it was just a prayer, and I can't believe I came down with it. I just jumped up, and then I went down like a 3, and I'm like, I got to keep going. And went another like 3 yards and scored.
Are you amazed? I mean, are you?
Yeah, I'm still in disbelief. Yeah, I'm still in disbelief.
How's it feel to be going back to the final?
It feels great. It feels great. I want to get that second ring. We don't stop now.
The winning drive covered 87 yards in just a minute, and it was aided by 2 Sheehan personal foul penalties that helped the Falcons drive the length of the field. But after the game, we heard a lot of grumblings and a lot of outrage by the Sheehan side, specifically the Sheehan parents, during that punt that set up the winning drive. And it was correctly determined that Barlow had 12 players on the field. Now, there was a penalty called on that play. The referees from the Central Connecticut board called it illegal. It was illegal substitution, which is just a 5-yard penalty. And then Sheehan kicked again, setting Barlow up at the 13. But upon further review by the CIAC and everybody involved, it was determined that it should have been called illegal participation, which is in Connecticut High School Federation rules is a 15-yard penalty, which would have given Sheehan the first down and basically, therefore, the game. They would have just taken a knee and run the clock out because there's only a minute left, and Barlow had no timeouts. The CIAC's Glenn Lungarini actually commented on the case, and he said, "We recognize that it was an error in enforcement. We apologize to Sheehan, to the football players, to the coaches, that the wrong enforcement was put forward." That said, the CIAC's information packet is very clear that disputes must be handled while the game is still going on and not after the game. And despite Sheehan's protest, sending a letter, it was Gary Gravino, their AD, sent a letter out to the CIAC and showed them the film. Despite the CIAC acknowledging that an error was made, the fact that the game was over and it wasn't resolved during the game meant that the call stood. Barlow advances to the championship game, and Sheehan left out, which is not at any stretch of the imagination satisfied the Sheehan's parent side of things. We haven't really talked to John Ferrazzi about it, but he also, said it was just devastating that had occurred, and it's hard to, put into words, what his players are feeling and how do you explain it to them that an error could this be made. I mean, look, this is a really tough situation, and I totally sympathize with the Sheehan players and their parents and the families and everyone involved. I mean, what can you do other than just, this is just one of those moments where there's not a lot you can do. You're just going to have to take this pill and swallow it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it sucks. Like, let's not sugarcoat it here. The situation as a whole sucks, right? Sheehan feels like that they got it taken away from them. The parents feel loudly and vocally enough that they got it taken away from them. But on the other side, if you're Barlow, like, there are people out there adult people saying, like, you don't deserve to be there. Like, that's also crappy too. Let's remember, they're both high school kids on both sides of this. They didn't make the call. The Barlow kids didn't throw the flag or make the incorrect call. They just did what they were told, just like Sheehan did. It's just a sucky situation across the board. I mean, they are very vocal, sometimes a little too vocal. I mean, are we crossing lines here? We're commenting, outwardly rooting for Watertown now from Sheehan parents, or sending angry emojis on Watertown, on Barlow stories on our website. Like, what are we doing here? Yeah. Like, this is high school sports. This is something that we didn't have 3 years ago with high school football, that all the parents were so vocal about. Just they should play. We need them to play. It's not about winning. It's about just being out there with your friends and the experience. But now that we have football back for 3 years, apparently that's not good enough. Like, I'm not denying that this sucks, but like, let's look at it as an overall thing. Like, they're not going to put you back at Richard Field, call the penalty, and let Sheehan kneel the ball out. Like, it's unfortunate, but that's just kind of what has happened. And it's unfortunate that the refs didn't know the rules. We saw that earlier this year with the overtime game between Norwalk and Danbury, where the referees did not know the overtime rules. Again, these are referees. They're not professional referees. These are referees that they are having a hard enough time getting because a lot of people don't want to ref high school sports because of the parents. The verbal abuse that they have from parents are the reason why people aren't going out to be referees.
Yeah.
So if you're going to point any finger about how these referees aren't experienced, they don't know the rules, look in the mirror first. Because the reason that we have a shortage of referees is parents' fault.
Yeah.
Or not parents, adults' fault. Adults in the stands who yell and verbally abuse referees are the reason why we don't
go
have,
after
we have
referees.
It's insane. Like the whole situation just stinks out loud. I will say, surprised that the CIAC commented on it publicly. I'm surprised that they acknowledged the fact that a mistake was made. I know, Sean, you said that you were really happy that they were very transparent about it.
Yeah, I like the transparency here by CIAC. I mean, listen, you not. I mean, what are they going to do? Say nothing happened? I mean, that's one of the things I complain about the CIAC, that sometimes they're just not transparent enough. And in this case, I think that it made the right call. They can't just leave people up there and not acknowledge it. I think if they acknowledge it, they can take steps to perhaps correct it. I think everybody can move on and correct and make sure things like that don't happen again. The other thing I'll say quickly about this is, again, like you said, it's not these aren't professionals. They're having a hard time, getting referees, and it was very much a simple mistake. The NFL and NCAA do not have that rule. They recognize that rule was a dumb rule, and they made it just a 5-yard legal substitution. So it's a common mistake. You see sometimes, as you saw in the other situation with Danbury and Norwalk, the overtime game, they play by college rules because a lot of us aren't really immersed in high school rules. We don't see it on TV. We see NFL getting, just sometimes that just happens, and they're having a hard time filling refs. They're going to make mistakes. These aren't pros, and I think we all kind of have to accept that. Now there might have been a ton of penalties against Barlow that they didn't like early in that game, and maybe they made a mistake there. I don't know. I mean, look, we can't. We need to be adults here about this. We need to set an example. We need to, like, you can be mad, you can be angry, you can be frustrated, you can be all those things. But at the same time, you have to also accept that this is very much high school. We do take it seriously, but there's not a whole heck of a lot you can do. And the only really way to figure this out was to figure it out while the game was still going on. That said, you also had 83 or 87 yards to defend. And, there was 2 personal foul penalties during that drive. So I don't know. It stinks. I wish it didn't happen. There's nothing we can do about it. We're not putting Barlow back into the stadium. We're not going to let Sheehan kneel it out, as you said. You can be frustrated, but that's about it. I mean, continuing to just stomp your feet about it. I think it's over now.
Yeah. Please stop tagging ESPN in the story.
Yeah. Okay.
It stinks, but it happened. But you know what? Good credit to Barlow here. I sat on this show and I made, get your tickets now, Sheehan. I told my friend, don't take off work on Sunday. Take off work next Saturday. Sheehan's going to go play in the state title. Boy, was I wrong. This is what I get. And I think all my Barlow brethren have turned their back on me after last year when I picked them to win in August, and I was right. And but they've all turned their back on me. I guess it's a what have you done for me lately league, it feels like. So I apologize to Barlow. What a run. What a great coaching job by TJ.
Cavalier.
I mean, they got guys. Jack Gilbert. Jack Gilbert didn't contribute on last year's team, on the offensive side, right? But Dylan Taylor did. Scott Romano did. They have guys, Cole Peterson. But Jack Gilbert has really stepped up for them, filling that Danny Shaban role. And they have a shot to do it again, which is incredible.
But no one would have thought of that from Barlow, back in the day. No one. I mean, just little old Barlow, as Rob Tiny used to call it. What are you doing here, little old Barlow? Anyway, so that is the Class Double S game, which will be at Rensselaer Field, 4:30 p.m., Barlow and Watertown. The number 8 and 7 seed, by the way, which is just wild. Moving up to Class M, ya boy, Amir Knighton ran 35 times for 288 yards and 2 touchdowns and helped the defense on the other side put the brakes on Holy Cross's high-powered offense led by Marcus Campbell, who did not score a touchdown. Knighton's 69-yard run with 4 minutes left put Rockville ahead 14-7. But on the ensuing kickoff, Dylan Gray from Holy Cross runs it all the way back to pull the Crusaders within 14-13 pending the extra point. But instead of kicking it, Coach Mike Gianpetruzzi said he decided immediately to go for 2 and the lead. Rockville gets the pressure, and Cowet's pass falls to the turf to keep it a 1-point game. And afterward, Mike said his reasoning was, quote, there were 4 minutes on the clock. We had a tough time stopping the run game. We also have a freshman kicker, and he's been doing a great job all year, but I figure we had the momentum, and they blew it up. So Rockville, Pete, advances to their second final in 3 years by identical 14-13 scores, which is just wild.
That's crazy. Carl Adabik, our coworker, brought it up. He's like, have you guys ever seen a team win back-to-back 1-point games in the playoffs?
Yeah, 14-13.
I went back. Yeah, 14-13, 14-13, but 1-point games. I went back, I looked, I couldn't find back-to-back ones. I didn't look that hard, but, I mean, it's just pretty incredible what they're doing. And what I think it really goes to show, a lot of these guys on Rockville were on the team last year, right? They were sophomores. Brady Ramsdale, the quarterback, started last year as a sophomore. Like, this is how important Amir Knighton is. You know, he was great as a freshman. We hyped him up going into last year. He missed last year. We hyped him up going into this year. He is that important to this team. You know, he's going to take Rockville as far. You know, Rockville will go as far as he can take them. And they have other guys. Like, let's not, Lexington Hunter is great. Ramsdale's great. But, man, when you have a guy like Amir Knighton, he even got in on the block extra point in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, big play.
He's rushing for 288 yards in the semifinals and blocking kicks in the quarterfinals.
I don't know about that's a tough call there. I mean, Mike knows his team better than I do on Holy Cross, but I mean, at that spot, man, you just got a gift of a touchdown there. I say kick it, but what do I know? I'm not the coach of the high school coach, so that's a tough call. I don't know what you thought about that.
Again, I guess it's kind of a feel thing, right? Some coaches have their sheet, they have their little math thing. What does the sheet say? I guess was always a joke that was thrown around. But I think you're just kind of trying to see how the team feels. You get the momentum. Maybe they thought they didn't have a shot to, slow down Knighton. Maybe Rockville eats away the clock and kicks it for the win. And you put it in your defense's hand. You put it in your special team's hands. He had control. His team had control. They had the ball. They wanted to take a shot. It didn't work out. Look, there were still 4.5 minutes left in that game.
Yeah.
That game's not over, so, anything could have really happened within that next 4 minutes. But, I mean, it's a good rally season for Holy Cross. I think Mike Fornabio mentioned it in one of his posts. I think they'll be moving up back-to-back years to the semifinals. So, see you later, Holy Cross. Good luck in Double M or L or wherever they're going to send you.
Oh, yeah. And Rockville, Pete, will be facing Han, a 48-0 winner over ATI, which the Tigers scored 31 points in the second quarter en route to the 48-0 victory. An amazing season for Coach Chris Pace and the Wolverines, but Han, obviously, a team that I picked to win the state title in Class M in the preseason just proved to be too much. So that is Class M. The final will be at Arute Field at CCSU, 1:45 p.m. on Saturday. In Class Double M up in Wilndsor, it was North Haven up to its typical stuff, running the single wing to perfection, hammering Wilndsor and wearing him down to the tune of 21-0 to return to defend its Class Double M championship. Adam Pandolfi ran for 151 yards and a touchdown, and Joey Mastroianni ran for a pair of scores, and the defense did the rest, holding Wilndsor to just 125 yards of total offense, including just a mere 47 in the first half. They also intercepted A.J. Robinson 3 times, including one by Pandolfi. They will advance now to face Wilton over in Monroe. Masuk, my boys, and their self-described best defense in the state playing host to the Warriors for a shot at their first title game appearance since 2017. And E.J. D'Annunzio's Wilton squad looking for that program's first appearance since Tom Fujitani in 1995. Masuk came out on fire early, driving deep into Wilton's end, but stalling, leading to a short Jackson Zylick field goal. Okay, not a bad start. Field position was just like the Cheshire game, working for Masuk's advantage early. Wilton, not a lot going on. But just before the end of the first quarter, Rob Klein with a pass over the middle that's picked off by Todd Woodring, the middle linebacker, is having a great season. Makes an acrobatic play and an even more acrobatic, gassed-out run to get the pay dirt, falling into the end zone and putting Wilton up for good, 7-3. Joey Haggerty hit Cole Stevenson towards the end of the first half to make it a 14-3 game at the break. And then on Wilton's first drive of the second half, a nice drive, he does it again to make it 21-3. Wilton was driving again to make it a four-score game, but coughed the ball up on downs at the Masuk 6. And on the very next play, Klein to Shane Walker, 94 yards the other way, touchdown Masuk. The Panthers within 11. 3 and out by Wilton, and it's a block punt, setting them up at the Wilton 20 late into the third quarter, a chance to get within one score and turn this whole game around. Masuk with all the momentum. But Harry Polito picks off Klein in the end zone to end the threat. And on the next Masuk series, Jack Schwartz for Wilton picks off Klein again on the sidelines. Wilton tacked on 2 more touchdowns following Masuk fourth down turnovers, and Owen Theoritis with the 4th pickoff of the game, just for good measure. And E.J. D'Annunzio's Wilton squad head to their first final since 1995, looking for that first state title since 1985. And here's E.J. D'Annunzio, who's truly elevated this program into the stratosphere held by his fellow FCIAC cohorts.
A little wet, but it's a good day. Listen, great football game. You know, I just told the kids, I said, listen, you don't hear many names coming out of Wilton, but you hear good program. You hear good defense, good offense. We play as a whole. You know, we play 11 on O, 11 on D, 11 specials. And we play our butts off. And just proud of those kids. Listen, I'm not going to say anything about my defense except they're stellar. They play really hard every game. And I have those standouts. It's a team. And they played hard, and they were in the right spot at the right time. Well coached today. Well coached again.
You talk about the pick and your rumbling.
Oh my God! I mean, I didn't even think I was gonna catch it first of all, and then after that, running right, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go down here. Saw a lane to my left. Oh my God, I was gassed after that though.
Was it just a matter of getting a play like that to kind of stoke you guys up?
Yeah,
you guys knew your defense was pretty good.
I think that really sparked us. I mean, we went down early, 3-0. They had a good drive, and I mean, they were moving it again, and we just needed that. We really needed that. I mean, pretty much locked number 14 down, Jason Champagne. He's a hell of a player. Good things for him, but I mean, we're best defense in the state. Easy to say it.
And also, Pete, that was Todd Woodring, his great interception return. But did I just hear him say the magic words from one of the best defenses in the state, now another best defense in the state, going into the state finals? Good luck against Single Wing. At least they know what they're facing. Even E.J. D'Annunzio talked a little bit about it afterwards. This is their 3rd straight year. They have faced North Haven last year, beat them in the semifinals, and then Wilton also won the regular season alliance matchup, I guess, 2 years ago.
I got to tell you, Coach Sags over there, it's always a challenge, right? So, listen, we played him 2 years in a row and beat him the first time and lost in the semis last year. So it's going to be a battle. There's no doubt about it. But again, I go to battle with my guys anytime, and I know Coach Sags will be ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Great job by Wilton getting to the final there, but oh man, I hope that doesn't come back to bite Woodring and the Warriors defense like it did Masuk.
I'll tell you this, the Wilton defense has played really well all season. You don't see any 50 burgers on their schedule. You don't see any 37 burgers on their schedule either, right? They've thrown 1, 2, 3 shutouts. They've held teams to single digits 2 or 3 times. They've allowed over 20 points twice in a shootout against Ludlow and a really good game against Staples in the rain. This Wilton defense is legit. That said, preparing for the Single Wing, always very different. Always very different. Now, granted, they do have a little bit of extra time because it's Monday they play on Saturday as opposed to the 3 days the CIAC gives you between Thanksgiving and the quarterfinals.
Yep. It should be very fascinating. A great game over at Root Field in the 10:30 a.m. game at CCSU. Just quickly on Masuk, obviously that was a tough season. Their coach didn't coach. Steve Christie didn't coach at all, as the townsfolk bickered amongst themselves, and lots of nonsense happening in between that. We don't know what's going to happen with Steve Christie in the future, but I will say this. We talked to Jason Champagne afterward, who was held to had a rough day. Wilton's defense really kind of put the brakes on him, and his season ends. And he talked a little bit about what the season meant and how they were able to kind of keep it together.
I mean, listen, we've worked harder than anybody. I wouldn't want to do it with a different group of kids. We're not the biggest, we're not the strongest, but we definitely have the most heart of anybody. And I mean, we definitely fought till the last end of this, but it's been a rough season. You could say all the excuses you want, but we still battled to the end, and that's all I really have to say about that. This year's probably been the worst and best year of football I've ever had.
Yeah, it's like the best of times. It was the worst of times from Jason Champagne, but he's got a bright future. And Masuk will be back. I mean, I don't know who's going to be the coach next year, but they have that whole defense, all juniors. And, Jason Champagne's brother is coming up. So look out for the Panthers down the road. That brings us to Class L up at Blue and Gold Stadium. Darien peaking at the right time with a thoroughly impressive 21-0 victory over number 4 seeded Newtown to reach the state final. Get this, the 8th time in 10 years. They've only missed last year, recall, and then 2018 when they lost to Newtown in the quarterfinals. This time, sophomore Ben Rolap, now the sole starter after an injury to Declan Cunningham at midseason, threw for 3 touchdowns as Darien bolted to a 14-0 lead early, and it was all defense from there. The defense forced 3 turnovers. Walker Brown and then Ryan O'Malley each had interceptions. Darien also recovered a fumble late in the game. Newtown only got inside the Darien 20 twice, and once was because of a muff punt. And here's Rolap, who's got a bright future ahead as a sophomore, on the guys that made all this possible, his defense.
It was amazing. We saw it was going to be rainy. We knew that we were going to come out here and assert our will. Our guys got open, and our offensive coordinator made great play calls.
Yeah, 2 touchdowns, give a nice early lead. And then the defense. Can you speak to the defense just throwing up a shutout?
The defense has been saving us all year, man. I mean, the prep game, they scored the only touchdown. They're the reason we're here. No, it feels amazing. We've been, counted out all year. We're an 8th seed. If you'd asked an FCI coach at the start of the year if Darien was going to the final, they'd have said absolutely not. So it's great to be here.
So Darien advances to face who else but their old Turkey Bowl rivals, New Canaan, in their first championship showdown since 2014 when Zach Allen went out with a title 21-20 over Darien at Ken Strong Stadium. And remember what we said about Darien's defense last week, Pete? After surrendering a 5-yard touchdown run by Dante Kelly early to cap Maloney's first drive, the Rams held a masterclass in defense the rest of the way. Michael Smith and Luke Bob both had interceptions and held Kelly and Maloney off the scoreboard until the reinforcements came. And the reinforcements, who else but Alex Benevento, breaking free on a 65-yard touchdown run to tie the game up at 8 with Luke Robinson's 2-point pass to Alex Russi with a quarter left. And with time running out, Robinson hits Alex Esposito to the Maloney 30 with 9.7 seconds left. Now, that would have been a 47-yarder for New Canaan's kicker Tucker Stevens, who had earlier missed a 28-yard field goal, but Maloney jumped not once, but twice to turn a 47-yarder into a much more manageable 37-yarder. And he boots it through, just barely, but good enough to send New Canaan to the moon and back again to the Class L final to defend their title. And it turns out, Stevenson says, that was all just one master plan by defensive coordinator Chris Silvestri to get Maloney to jump and hardcore helping out his kicker make that last kick.
I was warming up on the sideline and I saw the clock. I knew it was going to be a far kick, but I knew it was possible. And then Coach Silvestri called a play to just get them to jump outside. We did that twice. Makes the kick a lot shorter, which makes my confidence level go up a lot. And I just tried to relax, take some deep breaths. Coach Marinelli helped me a lot. The O-line, I knew they'd block and no one get through. And then Barnard and Luke Robinson had a great snap and hold.
When you got rid of it, when you got it off your foot, did you know it was going through, or did you have to watch?
I felt it. I know the sound, so I think I knew it was going in. I didn't really know if it was actually happening, if it was a dream or something, but it felt pretty good.
Someone's gonna beat them, right? I mean, someone. It's like Breaking Bad, right? He can't keep getting away with this. They just keep winning. If they don't have a great quarterback, they have a great defense, and they keep winning, and they keep winning, and they keep winning, and it just doesn't make any sense. It's incredible. It's infuriating. It's incredible. Their defense is awesome. And now they get their rivals in the championship, who they kind of dominated 2 weeks ago. Now, granted, you don't want to play a team twice in the same season, especially in a short period of time. Yada, yada, yada. I don't know, man. This new Canaan just... it's... Good for New Canaan.
Yeah, listen, that's why Louis is the all-time winningest coach in Connecticut history. I mean, it's just, there's no other way to describe it. Really, I mean, it's just no other way to describe it. It's just an amazing job by him and his staff. This is a rematch of New Canaan's 31-17 Turkey Bowl victory on Thanksgiving. It will also be the sixth time since 1999 that they faced twice in one season, and they split most of those times except for one time in 2008 when New Canaan beat them twice. Once in the Turkey Bowl in front of a bazillion people at Boyle Stadium, and the other at the state final they played at Trumbull. We should have played at Boyle out here. But
I am very excited for this game. I'm very excited that it's going to be at Rensselaer Field. They have two great fan bases who will make the drive up to East Hartford to root on their teams, and I think it's going to make for a great atmosphere at a college-level field, a Division I college-level field. I think it's going to be amazing, and I think everyone should drive there. Maybe get party buses. I'm sure you guys might maybe even have helicopters.
I think they they won't complain about that going to Darien if it's Darien New Canaan in the final. You know what I mean? I mean, they'll why can't we just play? You know, you get those types of why can't we play here? But you know what? The venue is kind of the thing here. That's the whole point. You want to play in a championship venue, and then it's worth the hour and change drive to get up there. And it's not sad.
We do it.
Yeah, we do it.
And
plus, Johnny Football's up there.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't have to work too far. I mean, I'm sure he'll go between the sites like he did last year. But anyway, so that'll be a lot of fun. And finally, up in Class Double L, the FCIAC reigned in one game, but didn't in the other. First, your boy, Pete, Caleb Smith, and Staples making short work of Southington. It was no contest from the jump. When Sam Petrosino returned the kickoff 75 yards for touchdowns, and that was basically ball game. The Wreckers defense intercepted Southern quarterback C.J. DiBenedetto 5 times. Max Marullo returned one of his 2 for a touchdown. Anthony Armentano had 2 picks. And Smith ran for 3 touchdowns and threw for another, destroying Southington 41-0 and punching their tickets to their first state final since 2011, which is just wild to me because I was at that game. But Staples was looking for its first title since 2005 when they won against Masuk, also another game I was at. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm dating myself here a bit. But that was a great game at Trumbull in 2005. That was Marsh's last state championship. And there have been so many great Staples teams since then. But they lost to Bunnell that one time. The next year in 2006, they got bounced by Bunnell again. Not in the final, but in 2007. They got back in 2009 versus Cheshire, but lost that in the final play. Then they got back again against Xavier. Everybody wanted the showdown with Xavier, but Xavier and Tim Boyle basically just made mincemeat of them, and they were supposed to go in 12, the big showdown, Staples and Xavier, but Marcus Outlaw from NFA had other plans in that one. So it's been a long time for Staples, and good job by Adam Behrens and the guys over there. And then the other final, another Class Double L semifinal, not Greenwich, but West Haven. Pete, what happened?
26-13, and let me tell you this. The big plays for the Blue Devils reigned supreme in this one. West Haven's offense, Greenwich's defense played great, and they held West Haven time after time. But you know what West Haven does really well, and what they did to Staples the first week of the season, is they make big plays. Greenwich up 6-0. They go down the field on their first drive. Rocco Grillo scores on a 1-yard quarterback sneak. No biggie. We get to the second quarter. West Haven facing 3rd and 14 on the other side of the field. Oh, we're gonna air one out. Who's there? Armani Reed. Your boy doing Armani Reed things. Takes it 77 yards to the house. Touchdown. You're not watching it on in front of me. I was busy taking the photos, so he was running really fast. All right. Took it to the house. They went for 2 because apparently no one has a kicker. 6-6. Boom. Another one. Facing 3rd and 10, 44 yards out. Nick Conlon drops the snap. Oh no, he's going to have to fall on it. Just kidding. He picks it up, makes one guy miss, and he's gone 44 yards to the house. Touchdown. Their 3rd touchdown. 4th and 12. Screen pass to DeMarco Edie. 21 yards to the house. Greenwich couldn't get them off the field, and West Haven made them pay every single time. On the flip side, West Haven's defense played really well. Armani Reed, interception for the Blue Devils, but they just played sound defense. Tom Unger's group just played well. They didn't make any mistakes. Rocco Grillo threw for 300 yards in the quarterfinals. He did not do that on Sunday. Ian Kim got a lot of touches for Greenwich. They were able to contain him. Gavin Girinelli and Brandon August were not really able to get the ball in space. Just a weird game for Greenwich offensively, and West Haven didn't really sustain drives, but they were able to break the big play when they needed it most. And Rich Boucher, who is just an all-time quote machine, here's his little quote after the game about their ability to score big plays.
You guys were facing 3rd and long, touchdown, 3rd and long, touchdown, 4th and 12, touchdown. What does it say about this offense that it doesn't matter where you are on the field or what down it is, that you guys can score at the drop of a hat?
Well, to tell you the truth, sometimes our guys are so dumb that they don't even care or know that it's 4th and long and just say, oh, we can do this. They're so mentally cocky. But obviously we don't like putting ourselves in those positions, but it's been something that we've been doing. But they fight and they keep coming back, and that's a good team they just beat. And I'll probably be crying on the ride home. So proud of the West Haven kids, because they really overcome a lot to get to this spot.
Like Rich said, not something that they planned, but he'll take it at this point. In this point in the season, you're doing anything to get wins. And I was at this game week 1. These are 2 very different teams, but this matchup's really good. And we're not in the picks portion, but I think a lot of people are sleeping on West Haven. A lot of people.
Should be interesting. Just a great job by Rich Boucher. He takes over for Eddie McCarthy. They had that one really good team in 2017 with the Godfrey brothers, actually the Kyle Godfrey, who's our player of the year that year. And then there are a few lean years. It looks like they weren't going to get back, but they get in that SEC Tier 2 schedule. They kind of build their dander up big, go to SEC Tier 1. Now they got all the guys. They got Camp coming in. All the stars have kind of aligned a little bit. And for a guy like Richie Boucher, we know about him. He's been dealing with a lot of cancer. He had reconstruction of his tongue and his face and everything, and he's been able to kind of persevere through that. And last year, everyone was kind of rooting for him, saying that he said it straight up. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He said, "Look, this team has sustained me. This team has kept me going through a lot of just annoying stuff he's got to deal with, a lot of rough stuff, life-threatening stuff he had to deal with, and the kids really kind of picked him up just by being them and just by him being able to coach the team. Now he lost a good portion of his voice, but he could still spit a few great yarns. And I don't root for teams, but I do root for a good story. And so far he's got a great story. And West Haven with a chance to win its first state championship since 2002. Last year I saw that team celebrate its 20th anniversary. They haven't been to the final since the year after, a game I was also at. against Jack Cochran's great New Britain team, 13 to nothing at Ken Strong Stadium of all places. They didn't win that game, and so for Richie to be able to kind of put his name into the the pantheon of West Haven great coaches, that's could be a special, but you got to get through a really tough Staples team to get there.
I will say when the clock was winding down, I was on the Greenwich sideline, right? Because I wanted to see the reaction, right, from the West Haven sideline, and they run one play right there. Who's running up the sideline, following the last play, but Coach Boucher, and then he just throws his hands up. He starts jumping up and down, and he said after the game, he's like, "Look," I asked him, I said, "I saw you celebrating." He's like, He goes, "I don't show anyone up." He goes, I hope Greenwich doesn't think that I was showing them up." He goes, "I was just so excited." And I don't think anyone thought Coach Boucher was showing anybody up. He's just an emotional guy. And that was that's high school sports. I mean, that's why you do it, right? You do it for those moments. They don't do it for the check.
Yeah.
Right? And Coach Boucher talked about at the post game about these kids on West Haven and what they have to go through to get here. And he talks about equality. And he said everyone's equal when you're within 100 yards, right? But he was so happy just for his guys. And look, this team lost on Thanksgiving. This team lost to North Haven pretty convincingly in midseason. They didn't fold. They lost on Thanksgiving like they did last year. And instead of, laying an egg in the quarterfinal like they did a year ago, they came out, they won, and then they went down to Greenwich. And they beat a really good Greenwich team. And they just have so many playmakers, man. I am so excited for this game on Saturday.
Yeah. Greenwich, tough way to end. It looks like the injury is really kind of caught up with them. Not having a Fonvalakis at running back for a good portion of the second half of the season kind of hurt them. They did manage. Just kind of, it looked like they just all collectively just ran out of gas. What did you see?
Yeah, look, George Fonvalakis is a very valuable player. But I think, we didn't really view that because they won when he was out earlier in the year, right? It was a lighter part of their schedule. They were able to make it work. He came back in the Trumbull game and absolutely exploded. Their offense really, if you listen to this episode after I saw them against Trumbull, I said that was the best I've seen them play. I mean, they looked so good in that game. But when you lose a player like him, it was hard. There was no threat to run the ball. Look, Ian Kim is a good player, but when it's just Ian Kim, it's really easy to focus on him. They missed George out there. And they got a lot of good guys. It's Greenwich. They'll be back. Our guy, Pete Vonvalakis, should be back for his senior year. He's only getting better. It was a surprising in the way that there wasn't it didn't seem like there was a sense of any urgency. And not like the Greenwich teams that we've seen in the past. Even the James Ranello team that lost in the quarterfinals to Fairfield Prep. They had that urgency. They had that edge. It just seemed like it was missing there. Maybe, look, when you lose a player like George Vonvalakis, that's a big hole. He's a great, great football player. And he has that speed to match some of the best players in the state. And they were missing that.
So there it is. That game will be at Rootfield CCSU at 5 p.m. We mentioned the New Canaan game at 1:45. I got to pull this up again. I'm getting these all messed up, right? No, 1:30 at Rentschler Field, New Canaan, Darien. So that is how we got here. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do previews on all of the 6 state finals based off the luncheon on Tuesday afternoon. And then we're going to do our picks right after each one. But before we get to that, Pete, the big question everyone's going to have at the luncheon and onward is, now that Greenwich is down, yes, you got Staples there, but now it's kind of up in the air who number one's going to be this year. I mean, I assume if Staples avenges its only loss of the season, they're the easy pick. But should West Haven win that game, where do we stand as far as number one goes? Your thoughts?
Oh, all right. Well, quickly, easiest way, Staples wins, they're number one. Done. All right. Sorry, New Canaan. If you win and Staples wins, Staples is number one. Avenging their only loss in the finals. You guys lost to Shelton. It was week 1, but, still, I think we'll all agree. And I think Staples may have played a harder regular season schedule and you could argue postseason slightly, right? If Staples loses, if West Haven wins and New Canaan wins L, New Canaan's the number one team in the state.
I agree.
Now, here is where the issue starts. If West Haven wins, if Darien wins, and North Haven wins double M, all of those teams, right? West Haven will have 2 losses. North Haven, Fairfield Prep. North Haven has 2 losses, a forfeit to Darien, who is the L champion in this scenario, and yes, that counts. And they have a loss to Shelton, who got knocked out in the first round by Newtown. Okay? Their state championship would be over Wilton, who did beat Darien, also lost to New Canaan. See, this is where we start getting nasty. This is where we start getting crazy. Right? So if double LL and double M champions are West Haven, Darien, and North Haven, this is where I think it becomes very tricky. And I really wouldn't know where to go. I maybe lean towards West Haven because they would have beaten Greenwich and Staples to win the state title. Right? But I think North Haven has a good argument. I don't, I think they would have a good argument if they were to beat Wilton in the finals. Now, if Wilton wins, right? So let's say West Haven wins, Darien wins, Wilton wins, and Hand wins M. I mean, Hand played no one in the regular season, but Fairfield Prep, they'll have 1 loss.
I would not go with it.
Oh, no, me neither. I'm just saying there are a lot of crazy scenarios here where last year we had, it was going to be, theoretically, last year it was going to be Greenwich if they won double L, New Canaan or Maloney, whoever won L, had a shot because they both only had 1 loss. And their losses, Maloney's loss last year was to, and I'm forgetting who it was. No, they beat Southington. Oh, yeah. They beat Southington. They lost to Glastonbury.
Yeah.
The double L semifinalist. And New Canaan's loss last year, who did they lose to? It was a good loss. Like, it wasn't a bad loss. But it was, so we knew that it was going to be one of those 3 teams. We don't have that this year. And I am all over the place. I don't know who, like, what if West Haven wins, Darien wins, Wilton wins, Rockville wins, Watertown wins, and Cromwell Portland wins? They all have more than 1 loss except, well, Rockville in that case would only have 1 loss.
If the big problem is if West Haven wins, if Darien wins, and then North Haven wins, that's where we run into a problem. Because
do you want me to guess?
They did beat Windsor. North Haven did beat Windsor.
They did.
And then they also will have beaten
Wilton.
And they will have beaten Wilton. Who they beat in the first round? Jeez.
They beat Fitch for the second time.
Oh, Fitch. Right. They played Fitch. I mean, the schedule is the schedule. They got a great schedule. You can't say. And they would have beaten the class double L champion. So you're going to get, that's going to be fascinating. Tell us.
I don't know where I would vote. On that. I can guess where the majority of our voters would vote.
Oh, I know where they would vote. They would go with West Haven.
They would go with West Haven because of beating Greenwich and Staples, which are really impressive wins. I like to look at the other stuff as well. And that we were both there for that North Haven West Haven game. And that was a convincing win by North Haven.
But then North Haven turned around and lost to a team that West Haven beat convincingly. So
that video of us picking North Haven to win that game and then losing to Shelton never made it out on social media. I don't know why.
I actually picked Shelton in that game, if you recall. So
no.
I did hear about that.
Crazy. That never made it out there.
No, never. No, that never. Yeah. Oh, I picked against North Haven. So let us know what you think about who should be number 1 if the crazy happens, if West Haven wins, if Darien wins, and if North Haven wins. Where would you vote the final poll? Maybe even throw Hand in there. Do you think Hand has a shot? Do you think maybe Bloomfield has a shot, even though they lost to Windsor? How about Barlow or no? I'm just kidding. Those are our guys right there. The top 3 are kind of all the teams that have a shot at the final number 1 ranking. Usually the voters go very conservative But they might look at that game against they see, well, West Haven beat this team, and they also lost to Fairfield Prep, who North Haven also defeated. That's another one. So very fascinating. So let's get to our previews. Let's run down these state championship previews and start making our picks. Here we go. Starting with Class S.
The Class S championship is starting to become quite the rivalry. Cromwell Portland and Bloomfield have met 3 times in postseason history, most recently in 2021 when the Co-op defeated Bloomfield 21-6 in the Class S championship game.
You know, getting the opportunity to play against great teams, you know, great atmosphere on Saturday, great venue, great field, you know, we're excited. You know, we're still sharp and steel, so anytime we get the opportunity, we're going to be ready.
Well, I really don't have to say much to this team. They know what's at stake. One of our kids that are playing on Saturday got hurt the last time we played, so they're real excited, have a chip on their shoulder, so I'm excited to see what happens.
Cromwell Portland's Emeka Yearwood played in that game 2 years ago and recorded a sack and forced a fumble against Bloomfield quarterback Darien Foster. Foster scored the only touchdown for the Warhawks in that game. Both are back and playing key roles for their teams this season.
I remember all the big plays. Actually, before I was watching film on it, but I remember all the big plays that happened and the feeling of winning, definitely, especially the feeling at the start of the game.
I mean, it is kind of like revenge because I wanted to play them last year, but they got bumped up to double S, so we couldn't. But you know, now we can get our revenge this game, and you know, we seen them in a scrimmage earlier this year, and so we kind of know what they're like. They kind of know what we're like. It's going to be a battle on Saturday.
Most recently, the Randall Bennett-led Cromwell Portland Co-op capped off a perfect season with that win over Bloomfield in the 2021 Class S Championship, winning the Co-op's first title. Last season, the team lost in the Class SS semifinals, and this season the Panthers jumped out to a hot start before losing to Class M finals Rockville. They won 2 more games before losing to the Granby Canton Co-op. Since then, the team, led by Yearwood, has won 5 straight games, including playoff wins against Griswold Wheeler and Ansonia. They have outscored their opponents 210-55 during the win streak.
We had a lot of guys that, you know, were getting their opportunity to play last year, and they kind of saw what happens when you lose and almost the regret you have and understanding, like, I could have done a little bit more. And I think those guys being in leadership roles this year definitely stepped up. They helped bring our younger guys along. You know, almost baptism by fire. We got a lot of freshmen, a lot of sophomores playing this year, and those guys, they also had to step up. So those guys to, you know, take that step forward, and for us to get back here is just a testament to them, our coaching staff.
Bloomfield, led by Ty Outlaw, is back in the state championship for the 5th straight season. And despite being in the finals for the 5th straight year, the Warhawks have only 1 title to show for it during that run, which came in 2018.
Well, we just want to finish. We want to finish strong. It's really hard to go and be in second place. And this group has been in the championship game since they were, you know, sophomores coming out of COVID. So they know the land. They know exactly what's at stake. They know they've been there before. They've been tested. So they feel like it's their time.
But that doesn't matter to the Warhawks, coming to the championship game with a high-flying offense led by Foster, Davian, and Davion Kerr. The team has scored 460 points this season through only 11 games. The Warhawks dropped their season finale against Wilndsor, but rallied, winning the next 2 games, including a come-from-behind win over Notre Dame Fairfield in the state semifinals.
I just feel like we have a lot of weapons, and we're going to use them all, and we're going to be hard to stop. So we feel like if we get going, we're going to be okay.
Just how close we are. Like, we're so, like, well bonded, and the chemistry between us all is crazy. You know, like, sometimes, like, we'll do stuff and we won't know we do it, but, like, you know, it just happens. It's like magic out there sometimes. So yeah, it's just, our team is so well, we're so together, we're such a family, and yeah, it's just us coming up from freshman year to now. You know, we've been together all 4 years. Even with the COVID year, we were still together till October. So, you know, we bonded all through then and all through sophomore year, junior year. You know, we felt defeat the past 2 years, and now we want to get it our senior year.
Will the Warhawks end their losing streak in the finals, or will Cromwell Portland assert themselves as a Class S power? It's Bloomfield versus Cromwell Portland for the Class S championship.
So, Pete, That's Bloomfield versus Cromwell Portland. TBA on just how effective Darien Foster's going to be, but if he can go even maybe 80%, they're probably going to be in good shape with the Twins and a lot of their dudes there. They're very athletic. I mean, where do you sit? Where do you see this game against Cromwell Portland?
I think this one's a great game. I think Cromwell Portland, where they got 2 losses this year. They lost to Rockville, who's in the finals, and Granby, who I'm sure is kicking themselves over their loss to Watertown. And then on the other side, Bloomfield lost to a really good Wilndsor team, and apparently they were pretty banged up. Darien Foster, I think, plays the key role in this game. His health, if he's 100%, apparently he will be 100%. Look, I've seen Bloomfield in the championship. I covered it in 18. I covered it in 19. I covered it last year. Okay? In these tight games, how is Bloomfield going to react? Right? I imagine that this is going to be a tight game. I don't think this is going to be a blowout on either side. I think these are 2 really good teams, 2 great coaches going at it. When it comes down to it and when it's close, I'm going to go with Cromwell Portland in this game. I think the Panthers solidify themselves as one of the premier programs in Class S in football in the state of Connecticut.
Pete, I'm going the other way. I'm going with Bloomfield. I think Ty and the Kerbrook twins and Darien, they finally get that elusive title. I think Randall Bennett was right. I think this team is maybe a year away. They've just kind of matured maybe a little early. It helped they faced a pretty banged up Ansonia team. And even in that game, they were kind of, it was a touch and go game until late. They pulled away. But that said, I think Bloomfield sees the finish line. I think they finally get that elusive title and ride off into the sunset. I'm going with the Warhawks. Okay. With that, we're going to go to Class SS, the Barlow Bowl versus Joel Barlow, the defending champs, and newcomer Watertown. A year ago, Joe Barlow of Reading's football program at last reached the mountaintop. Led by GameTimeCT Player of the Year Danny Shaven, the Falcons ran their vaunted triple option to perfection and rolled all the way to the Class SS championship game and routed Valley Regional Old Line 61-6 at Southern Connecticut State to win their first state championship. Shaven torched defenses to the tune of 2,700 yards of total offense and accounted for 46 touchdowns, 35 on the ground. Though he has long since graduated, Barlow's 2023 prospects look promising, what with seniors Cole Peterson, Dylan Taylor, defensive lineman Liam Kiernan, and junior Scott Romano among some of the top returners. Sure enough, the Falcons got off to a blazing hot start, beating teams by an average score of 35-6 en route to a 3-0 record. But at mid-season, the era of good feelings turned sour as Barlow lost 4 consecutive games in the SWC, putting their chances of repeating into serious jeopardy.
Well, I think what happened was, early on we played some teams out of our league, so sometimes they're not as well versed, and then we got back into our league with teams that have schemed us up, and they know what to expect, and I think that was a little bit of a wake-up call, but I think that also when you look at the schedule, Brookfield had gotten significantly better, and there was Masuk and Notre Dame, and so we got into maybe that tougher part of the schedule, and then we were a little bit more battle tested when we came out of that part of this. We got experienced by losing. So,
beginning with a 14-13 victory over New Fairfield, Barlow rallied with 3 consecutive victories to squeak into the Class SS playoffs again.
We started good, had an easy start to the schedule, and then played some better teams and just dipped down. And then really as it went on, we all just came together as a team, and that's what was missing for those 4 games that we lost. And after that, we've just been together as a team, a brotherhood. And we truly believe there's no one in the state who could stop us. We believe it's our destiny to win again, go back to back. So, we just really got together as a team, pulled it all together, and it's like how the chemistry we have now to the beginning and middle of the season, it's just so much more. So we had a lot of just hopes and stuff, and then we just had to flash back to reality, and lock it in, and we noticed like we need to come more together. Something isn't working, and just with time and effort, those 4 weeks we were just able to tie it all together and make it work.
As the number 7 seed, the Falcons won 2 road playoff games, a quarterfinal defensive struggle over Coginchog, and then a semifinal rally to stun heavily favored Sheehan behind new quarterback Jack Gilbert's 34-yard touchdown strike to junior Andrew Watson with 6 seconds remaining. Now Barlow gets a once unheard of chance to repeat as the state football champion, but also prove that last year's title was anything but a one-man production.
Yeah, it was a great feeling, and it felt so good. We just want to be able to recreate it. I mean, I had a touchdown in that off a block punt by Cole, and that's the highlight of my career. So I just want to be able to recreate something like that. And even though we know we can win and we're a good team, we kind of want to prove to everyone that our team, our winning last year wasn't just Danny Shaban, because that every win, every loss, he's mentioned. So we want to prove that you can't stop the triple option. We're good enough to win. You can put anyone in at any position, and we'll continue to win. So that's a big thing to us. We want to prove we're more than just Danny Shaban.
It's a testament to the kids and the hard work that they put in. And, when we lost 4 in a row in the middle of the season, they could have hung it up and said, we'll play for next year. But, they dialed it back in and they got back on track, and good things have happened for them.
As surprising as Barlow's return might be, nobody expected their opponent, Watertown, to be here. Led by 4th-year head coach and proud alum, Sean Stanko, a longtime understudy of longtime coach Roger Ouellette, Watertown is playing in its first state championship game since Rico Bronya and the Indians won it all in 1986.
I attest everything to Raj coming through, coaching-wise, playing-wise. I was fortunate to play football and baseball for him. So he was a great guy. We dedicated the field recently to him with a rock with a picture of him coaching. Ironically, that picture is from my senior year. It was not intended. It was just kind of big circle coming together. So we're super excited about that. So it's been a great thing, and the kids that don't know him are attest to him. They understand it, and we talk about it all the time. He's a legendary coach at Watertown. He coached for a long, long time. I think the longest-standing head football coach there.
Watertown was 1-3 at midseason following back-to-back losses to NVL Powers, Ansonia, and Naugatuck, and appeared to be just playing out the season, sitting at 3-5 late in the year. But a surprisingly competitive 28-27 loss to Holy Cross in Week 8 seemed to embolden this group. Led by 6'4 junior quarterback Braden Gamby, seniors Aiden Arline, Ty Housen, and junior Adam Hassinger, Watertown won 4 straight, qualifying at 5-5, knocking off top-seeded Granby Canton, and riding a 21-0 shutout victory over NVL rival Gilbert Northwestern Housatonic to become the first 5-5 team to reach a state final. Now they're focused on an epic upset victory over the defending state champs to earn that long-awaited title.
It's so special to be here. It's so special for the program, especially being a Watertown guy, seeing the ups and downs, seeing them progress, just the community behind us, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing experience, and these boys are getting to experience it too.
It is the Class SS Championship, Watertown versus defending champion Joel Barlow, Saturday night, 4:30 at Rentschler Field in East Hartford. Barlow and Watertown, the Dark Horse Bowl, I don't know what else to call it. It is a very interesting matchup bowl. I want me to go first? I guess I got to go first, right?
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna go with the defending champs, Barlow. Just an amazing job getting back here. Danny Shaban, they just ripped through it last year. I think it's gonna be a tougher game this time. Obviously, this isn't whatever it isn't last year's Barlow team, but this crew, they show their resiliency against Sheehan. They can see the finish line in sight. They've been here before. It's old hat to them. They're going to be playing at Rentschler now. I'm going with Barlow.
Yeah, I can't bring myself to pick a team that went 5-5 in the regular season.
out of the
To
NBL.
win a state title out of the NBL.
Your favorite conference.
I'm very anti-NBL here. No, look, this is a great season for Watertown, and hats off to Coach Stanko. I mean, what an amazing run. They're buying in. They're probably playing. No one thinks we belong here.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably recording this and playing it in the locker room or putting it up. No one's picking them. I mean, this is just what an amazing run for Watertown. But I just have a hard time picking a team that went 5-5 in the regular season. And I know all Barlow did was win one more game.
Yeah.
That's all Barlow did. They didn't do anything, but I'm going to go with Barlow in this one. Hopefully I can get back into the good graces of my guys over in Reading. They loved me the last couple of years with Barlow baseball, Barlow football. Now I'm like a pariah to them. So I'm going to go with the Falcons, but heck of a year, Watertown. Just what an amazing run. And it's not done yet, but just incredible run. Just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, beating Granby Canaan is not no slouch. So and then shut out in the semifinal in a game we all picked G&H to win at G&H's home field. So listen, give them credit. Getting credit, they just won't win. That's that's what I think. We'll see. That's at Rencher Field, 4:30 on Saturday. Moving up to Class M, it is Hand back in the final for the first time since 2019, playing for its first title since 2018. Remember, they did not beat St. Joseph in 2019. And then Rockville, second appearance in the final in 3 years. And here we go, Class M.
The Class M state championship matchup is an intriguing one. On one side, you have a program on the rise. Rockville, led by Eric Knickerbocker, is making its 5th state championship game and 2nd in 3 seasons. And on the other side, you have Daniel Hand, led by Eric Becker, playing in its 21st state championship game. And while you think two schools coming from 2 completely different conferences that have nothing in common, both Knickerbocker and Becker actually go way back from when they both coached in the Pequot.
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's a guy that I really admire. I like him personally. We battled in the Pequot. He's a culture builder. And as you know, culture drives behavior, and then behavior produces results. And he's turned what was an 0-10 Pequot team into a team that is a perennial playoff team. And they're going to be a great challenge.
One of the things me and Eric would talk about all the time at our Pequot meetings was the word culture. We didn't talk about scheme. We didn't talk about any of that stuff. It was just like, how do you build it? What do you do? What books are you reading? And we've done that for years. And then he ends up at Hand, and I was like, I guess we'll never see him again. We're in the state championship a couple years ago. They're in L. I was like, we'll never see them again. And then, I see they get moved down to M a couple years ago. We're starting to text message again, like, hey, maybe we'll see each other. And he's a great coach and a great guy. And I love seeing the stuff he does culturally, kind of with his kids and building culture. And he knows how to coach. So he did it at the Pequot. He can do it at Hand. I mean, obviously a little bit more pressure probably where he is now. But it's a fun element to be added to the game, because sometimes we play some of these teams at a conference you just know nothing at all. And it was nice to walk in here and shake his hand and be like, all right, hey, at least I know someone here. He must not think I'm that terrible of a guy, right?
Under Eric Knickerbocker, Rockville has made the playoffs in every season, which is a far cry from where the program was before he took over in 2018. The Rams have reached the semifinals every year since 2019 and are back in the finals for the second time in 3 seasons.
You get everyone's best game, and I think we've seen that the last couple of years. But I think mentality has changed, right? We were always happy. The first year, happy to be in the playoffs, right? We shouldn't have been on the same field with St. Joe's, but half of it, we were just happy to be there, right? Weston, happy to be in the second round, not ready to play. Happy to be against Killingly, right? Until the fourth quarter, hey, I think we could actually play with these guys, Last year we had a bunch of injuries. That was a tough year in general. But I think this year, the 2 playoff games, we're not happy to be here anymore. It's just another game.
Leading the way for the 11-1 Rams is Amir Knighton, who junior starred as a freshman, helping the program to the Class M title game in 2021, but missed all of last year with a torn ACL, and he's making up for lost time. He has rushed for 1,489 yards and 25 touchdowns this season, with 434 yards and 3 touchdowns coming in the postseason.
For sure, I definitely want to be the player who's going to step up. But I feel like my team is going to step up this week. I feel like I'm not going to need to have that many carries. I feel like we've already talked about it. But whatever comes with it, it's fine. I don't mind 40 carries, 100 carries. Give me it all. I don't really care. It's all right. I just run.
Rockville has played 2 extremely close playoff games. The Rams beat Berlin and Holy Cross by the exact score, 14-13. And they might need to play in another close game if they are going to be able to win the school's first state title since 1990.
The mental toughness we had to do is something we've really worked on, like, because that's the big thing we know we can control, and like something we wanted to get better at is like our toughness mentally, like when stuff happens bad, which football, it does happen bad a lot, and like you got to be able to recover. So I think that's something we've worked really hard at, and our kids have bought into, like, I got to be good at blocking someone, tackling someone, but I got to be good inside my mind too. That's been a big change for us. That's helped us a lot, I think, and especially the last couple weeks.
Hand is one of the premier programs in state history, and the fact that this is the first Tigers championship appearance since 2019 seems a little off. But the Tigers are back after beating St. Joe's and ATI to reach the state finals, though they didn't have the easiest start to the season. After the team moved down to Tier 2 in the SEC, many assumed that the Tigers would just roll through the regular season unbeaten. In the season opener, they lost to Bunnell, shocking many. And with Fairfield Prep coming up in Week 2, it looked like an 0-2 start was on the horizon for Eric Becker and his team. The Tigers battled back and forth with the Jesuits, and a big stop in overtime led the Tigers to a massive win. And they have not stopped winning since. They even pitched 6 straight shutouts during their 11-game win streak.
Defense wins championships. We have a Shark Tank mentality. Everyone on our defense can run. We're fast, we fly to the ball, and we hit. And that is the ingredient of good football. 7 shutouts total has set a new hand record, and we're really proud of that. We're going to have to defend a great team this Saturday in Rockville. They have athletes all across the board, and Amir Knighton is one of the state's best players.
Offensively, Aiden Dolan has led the way with school record 1,755 rushing yards and 17 touchdowns, while Jack Shea has thrown for 24 touchdowns and just 1 interception for the 11-1 Tigers.
The main reason why we work so well is that we've been playing football together for over a decade. And this year, we've all just come so close. These guys have practically become family to me. And even the juniors and sophomores, I love them all. We're all so close. We're all such good friends.
Will Knighton lead the Rams to restoring the Rock, or will Dolan and co. bring this group of the Tigers to the top? It's Rockville versus Hand for the Class M championship.
There it is, ya boys. Rockville, Amir Knighton, back in the final. You know, decided underdogs again against Eric Becker's Hand Tigers coming out of the SEC versus Pequot. Where do you stand here?
So I was looking back at my phone because I knew there was a text message in there that I needed to find. And let's go all the way back to July. The end of July, I was starting to get football preseason stuff put together, including our players to watch list. And I wanted to confirm that Amir Knighton was back at Rockville. He had missed his sophomore year. I don't know, kids transfer and leave all the time. But I just wanted to confirm that he was there. So Coach Knickerbocker gets back to me. Yes, he's there. Oh, excited for the season, this and this. And the conversation ends. Then that same day, or maybe the week, recently the classes had come out and I hadn't spoken to him. So I sent him a little message and I said, July 24th, I said, so you guys start scouting St. Joe's or Hand yet? ? I'm smart. What can I say? Obviously, this is a tall task for Rockville. This is a very, very tall task. Daniel Hand is so good. I mean, they are so talented. They are a football factory. They are a premier program in the state. I mean, this is a school that was in Class L a couple of years ago. Now they're playing in M. Yeah. I had someone text me Sunday night. They're like, Hand Rockville playing in the M championship. Does that sound weird to you? Yeah, it does. Yeah. Look, I know Rockville will get over this hump eventually. There is a state championship in the future with Eric Knickerbocker leading that program. I just don't think it's this year. I think Hand is just too good. They come from a bigger, better conference. They've played tougher opponents. Jack Shea has had an awesome year at quarterback. Remember, they started with the 2-quarterback system. Shea has really kind of taken the reins on. He's thrown 24 touchdowns, 1 interception. Aiden Dolan is a monster, just, the next great running back in hand history. Obviously, just etched his name at the top of the record book of most rushing yards in program history in the regular season. Eric Becker is a hand guy through and through. I think he's going to win his first title. I just think Rockville needs a year where the bracket kind of works their way better for them, and they play a true, in a true Class M. And it's not that Hand's not a true Class M school; they are, but it's Daniel Hand. They've been to this is their 21st state championship game. I need Hand with the big
Rockville.
boys. No, I'm picking Hand.
Oh, okay. Pete, I'm going to go with Hand too. I picked them to start the season. I mean, Hand comes from the SEC. Even though they played SEC Tier 2, they still played a tougher schedule than Rockville. I'm going with the Tigers to win Eric's first championship. I think Rockville will give it a little bit of a game early, but too much Hand, too much Dolan. Like you said, Shea's been playing great, and this team is going to be good in future seasons. Let's get them up to Tier 1, or maybe, please. A little year early. Okay, that is Class M. That is the 145 game at Arute Field at CCSU. We are now going to the upper echelon, Class M, North Haven versus Wilton.
In the Class M champion, it's a battle between the defending champs and a program that has not been in this position since 1995. The two teams have gotten to know each other over the last 2 seasons. Wilton beat North Haven in the regular season in 2021, and last season North Haven beat Wilton 14-7 in the state semifinals en route to their first state championship.
So it is a very tough offense to defend. We've been fairly successful the last 2 years playing them. Each year is different because you have different players. But it's a scheme they run every single day of practice. It's a scheme I have a tough time generating with my scout offense. So it is a challenge. It's tough. There is a benefit, though, of having them played them 2 years in a row. Yes, you're right.
At this stage in the season, they know who we are. We know who they are. I think last year it helped them to be off for so long, because in the second half of that game, I think EJ ran every trick play that you could come up with, and I remember saying to myself, how do they have the time to put that in? And then I went, oh yeah, they had 3 weeks to get ready. So they're a very good opponent. They have very good kids. They're well coached. I felt it would be destiny that if we had gotten to the playoffs this year, that we were going to have to play Wilton at some point, because they had a young team last year, and we followed them very closely, and I'm not surprised they're here.
It's been a tumultuous season for North Haven. The team forfeited its first game of the season as the school system announced an investigation into allegations of inappropriate student conduct. The team then returned to the field just 4 days later and went on to win 4 straight games before losing to Shelton. The next week, head coach Anthony Sagnello was suspended for his team's game against Cheshire. The team won without Sagnello, who will join the team the next Wednesday, and has won 5 straight to reach the M finals for a chance to win a second straight title.
Yeah, they're resilient. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff has happened to them that was really not on them. It's not their fault. They should be allowed to play football and enjoy their high school days. And I'm very proud of how they've handled it. And they've matured from that experience, and they keep their heads high and just continue to play.
The 10-2 Nighthawks have been led by their big offensive line and rushing attack, obviously, of Adam Pandolfi, Cam Thompson, Tristan Dosch, and Joe Mastriano, which has rushed for over 3,000 yards combined. The Nighthawks defeated Fitch and Windsor to reach the finals.
They've all stepped up tremendously. Even when I have been playing, they've still been great players. They're great players and they're great people. And I knew coming into the season that they were gonna come out and shut the ball out.
Standing in the way of a North Haven repeat is Wilton. The 10-2 Warriors are in the finals for the first time in 28 years and are looking for their first state title in 38 years. Since coach E.J. D'Annunzio took over in 2018, the Warriors have done nothing but win. In his second season, he led the Warriors to the playoffs for the first time since 1995. D'Annunzio has also led the team to wins against programs that they haven't been able to beat in a while. They broke losing streaks against Staples, Ridgefield, New Canaan, and this season, Darien.
I think a big part of his coaching aspect is that he's a very personal coach, and I feel like he knows all the players personal, and I think he knows like specifically like what each player excels at, how they're going to benefit the team, and just like what they're going to do to make the team better. And I feel like he used that just like he's like, okay, I want to put this kid here, that kid there, and I feel like he has this perfect scheme of where kids are going to put them and like just how they're going to excel in the team.
After a 4-game win streak to start the season, the Warriors dropped close games to Class LL semifinalist Staples and Class L finalist New Canaan. The team regrouped and beat Class L finalist Darien on its way to winning 6 straight games to get to this point, and the defense is a big reason why. The unit has allowed just 11 points a game this season, and in both playoff games, wins against Platt and Masuk, the team has allowed just 24 points.
What is it about the defense? It's about 11 guys playing hard. Names don't flow off the tongue right away for Wilton. It's more of, hey, Wilton's got a pretty good defense. It's because I got corners that play hard, that don't get beat over the top. I have linebackers that run to the ball when they have to. I have a defensive line that's relentless. Are there big name players? I got one or two, but it's a unit, it's a group, and they play that way, and they need to play that way on Saturday morning to do what we have to do to get the W against North Haven.
Will it be a North Haven repeat, or could D'Annunzio lead the Warriors to another streak-snapping win? It's North Haven versus Wilton for the Class MM Championship.
And there it is, Pete. North Haven versus Wilton. North Haven, the biggest stink when you don't pick them and they win. But when you do pick them and they lose, where are they? They don't console you. They don't, nothing like Shelton does. Shelton at least commiserates with you. Nothing from North Haven. I don't know what the incentive is. All they want us to do is pick against them. And, well, Pete, I'm going to oblige. I'm going to go with Wilton against North Haven to win the Class MM Championship. Wow. Absolutely. Yeah, I picked against North Haven last year, and they gave the business to me. I know EJ's screaming at me right now. I'm sorry, EJ, but, recency bias, maybe. They play great, but my real reason for picking them is, listen, the rubber match, third time's a charm. Well, I guess they split. So, but listen, the single wing is not going to be surprising to them. And they got some big dudes up front, man. The D-line and the linebackers there for Wilton, very tough. And I think it's going to be a great matchup. It might be 7-7, with a team maybe kicking a field goal late. We'll see. But I'm going to go with the Warriors. I know they're thrilled with me right now at North Haven. Pete, who do you got?
I'm shocked. I'm stunned. Look, this is a North Haven team that finally got over the hump last year to win a state title, right? They got close in 2015. They were the darlings, right? Everyone thought they're going to win. They're going to win. Sags has been there forever. This is a North Haven team. Adam Pandolfi was out the majority of the season. Tristan Dose, Cameron Thompson, Joey Mastriani. These guys stepped up. The offensive line led by Brendan Ryan pushes people around. We watched them dominate West Haven, a team that could win the Double L championship, be the number 1 team in the state. We watched them dominate them at Ken Strong Field, completely take out the playmakers of Cameron Kemp and Armani Reed and DeMarco Eady and Nick Conlon. This North Haven team can play. They just took down Wilndsor 21-0. This North Haven team can play. They can win 2 champs in a row, but it ain't gonna happen. EJ D'Annunzio, the breaker of streaks, is going to lead Wilton to their first state title. Joey Haggerty. I mean, they got guys, Calabrese, Woodring, all these guys whose brothers played for this program, much like North Haven. Wilton is going to get over the hump. They're going to win the championship. This game is going to be awesome, by the way. But I, too, am going with Wilton. Now, EJ is cursing both of us out right now.
Yeah. We both went 5-7 to the semifinals, by the way.
Everyone gets really mad. They're like, why didn't you pick us? I'm like, you don't want me
to. You do not want us to pick you. Yeah. I had guys yelling at me, Wilton side. Oh, how's that pick looking? I don't know, man. Looking pretty good for you, though. I mean, I picked Cheshire, picked Masuk. I just can't pin this team down. Listen, North Haven can win that game.
Oh, of course they can.
Will they?
This is also entertainment and fun.
Yeah. Don't take it too personal, guys. But yeah, I'm going with Will. All right, let's go to Class L. It's our buddies. It feels like every other year these two guys are playing for a state championship. It's been a while though. So here they are. New Canaan, Darien in the Class L final. Take it away. Darien and New Canaan. New Canaan and Darien. Two of Connecticut's powerhouse programs. Border towns and Thanksgiving Day rivals out of the FCIAC. Few state programs have matched their pedigree and fame over the last 2 decades. Few have had as storied a rivalry as these two. Darien has won 8 state championships, including 4 over the last 8 seasons. New Canaan, coached by Lou Marinelli, Connecticut's all-time leader in coaching victories, has won 13 state titles, 11 of which have come since 2001. And 3 of those titles have come at Darien's expense. Since 2016, when Finlay Collins' overtime pickoff spoiled then-freshman Drew Pine's late comeback attempt, New Canaan has won 6 of the last 7 meetings. Darien's only win was in 2021, when the Blue Wave avenged their Turkey Bowl loss in the state semifinal, defeating New Canaan 24-10 en route to their Class LL championship and overall number 1 ranking. Long known for its high-profile quarterbacks and spread offenses, New Canaan's gotten defensive in recent years. The Rams rode that defense to last year's Class L title, knocking off the Blue Wave and sending them home for Thanksgiving out of the playoffs for the first time in 10 years. New Canaan's Alex Benevento broke his arm in Week 1 of last season and had to watch from the sidelines as the Ram held off Maloney to win the Class L championship. Now a senior, he's turned in an all-state season, sparking the Rams to 11 consecutive victories, including a 31-17 win over the Blue Wave on Thanksgiving, and has New Canaan poised to defend its state title.
It's really exciting, being able to get back and, just having the time with our fellas, guys I've grown up playing with so long. Just having the extra week to play with them, it's just always really exciting.
He's huge. Obviously he got us that momentum in the Turkey Bowl, bring back that opening kickoff. He comes in on offense, comes in on defense, comes in on special teams, makes plays when he needs to. I'm just happy I could block for him on offense.
He makes us all look good, and then he's just the most modest kid. So if you can put him at running back, you put him at. He's got a number of punt returns, kickoff returns. He's got pick sixes. He does it all. And I'd like to tell you I taught him everything he knows, but he's just a tremendous kid, tremendous player.
Nobody expected the Blue Wave to oppose them. Darien only just earned the 8th and final Class L seed. But new coach Andy Grant, an assistant during Darien's recent run of 4 state titles, has found the right mix of stars for a stellar postseason run. The Blue Wave are led by the Twin Towers, tall juniors Charlie Tom and Kevin Roche. Sophomore quarterback Ben Rolap has found his groove, becoming the final piece of the postseason puzzle.
Yeah, honestly, it's crazy. After the first tough week 1 when we had to we couldn't play our game against North Haven because they had to forfeit. That just shocked our whole season. And then having a few tough losses over the course of the year, it was just honestly really tough. When we eventually made the playoffs, we really didn't know. We weren't very confident in ourselves. But, after getting the first win against Naugatuck, it really started to feel like we were coming together and started to play well. So, this is honestly a blessing to be able to play New Canaan on Saturday. It's very exciting and a dream come true.
Couldn't say enough about the guys. Just the effort they've been giving since Thanksgiving has been tremendous, and just the growth we've had from our best players to our guys who don't see the field. It's just been tremendous to see that growth.
Will New Canaan defend its title and win a 4th of 14 titles at its rival's expense, or will upstart Darien add a championship upset to this storied rivalry?
It's really exciting. Every time we get to suit up against them, there's always a lot of excitement in the air. They're just such a storied program, such a two prideful towns. They're a really good opponent every year. The way they run their program is really strong. It's always just really exciting to be able to go up against those guys. I got a lot of respect for a bunch of the guys on their team. They're a very good team. They're well coached. They have players all over the board that can make plays. So we got a tough one ahead of us, but I mean, we're ready for the challenge.
It's a dream. All of us, have dreamed of this moment to be able to get a second shot at them at UConn during the state championship. It's just going to be a great experience. We're going to do everything we can, prepare, and hopefully come out on top.
First of all, it's just great being here, okay? But to play them and to go again, honestly, I'd rather play somebody else. But, to have them, especially a first-year coach in Andy Grant, and to do what he's done in the first year has been tremendous. And you can see those kids are really well coached and are tough kids. We're going to have our hands full. It's tough to beat, any team twice in 1 year. So we'll have to see. But it's exciting. We'll be there at 1:30 at Rensselaer Field, the two Darien, New Canaan, and we'll see what happens. Should be fun.
It's New Canaan versus Darien for the Class L Championship, Saturday, 1:30 p.m., not at Boyle Stadium, but East Hartford's Rensselaer Field. So, Pete, that is the Class L Championship. Lou Marinelli facing his Turkey Bowl rivals with a new coach this time. But it's like old friends, we meet again. And they won in the Turkey Bowl at Dunning Field, but now they play in the big stage with a Darien team that's starting to really forget about this year, man. Next year, look out. But for now, maybe they could squeak one out here. What do you got?
New Canaan Darien part 2 is always entertaining, but I think the teams are so far apart this year. I don't think it's as close as it's been in previous years, right? Even in 2021, Darien was the best team that year. They were 9-0 heading into that game, and New Canaan upset them, right? And then Darien gave them the business in the playoffs, right? I think it's kind of really separate this year. I think Andy Grant has done a great job. I think, he was the right man for the job, and I think it's, we're seeing it now. I think they are young. I think they have guys who are gaining valuable experience, and I think that Darien is going to be a force to be reckoned with, as we move on, next year, the year after. I think they're going to be really talented. I think this is right on the cusp. This is going to be their DVD moment. This is going to be the moment where they look back and say, this is, look, I'm picking New Canaan in this game. I am, and I'm going to get into the reasons why. But this is going to be the DVD moment for Darien, where they're going to look at this and say, we need to hit the weight room harder. We need to hit the weight room more. We need to watch more film. We need to become better players. This game is what's going to turn around the next, generation of Darien varsity football players who are going to go on and do really good things. But I'm going to go with New Canaan here. I'm not stunned they beat Maloney. I picked Maloney. I thought Maloney was the better team, but when you come down to it and you look at that coaching staff, and it's Lou Marinelli and it's Chris Silvestri, and these guys have done it and they just do it and they win. It's the Jesse Pinkman gif from Breaking Bad. He cannot keep getting away with this, but all that they do is win. It's insane. They have a great quarterback for 10 years, and they have a great defense for 10 years. Then they have their offense isn't super great. Oh, here we go. Here's Alex Benevento, one of the best players in the state. Put the ball in his hands. I mean, this New Canaan team is awesome. They are so fundamentally sound. They can make the big plays when they need to. We've seen them put 40 up. We've seen them win close games. We've seen them win games on field goals. We've seen them win games in overtime. I'm going with New Canaan. I will just say this, Darien, just don't kick the ball to Alex Benevento. You got a better shot if you kick it out of bounds.
Yeah. I said it last week, man. It is unbelievable how New Canaan has adapted to its sudden personnel, its sudden misfortune about getting top-notch quarterbacks. I mean, like not that these guys aren't great, but they're definitely not Drew Pine. They're definitely not Kirk Casale or Charlie Westfall. Or I could just name a ton of guys. Just
Michael Collins.
Michael
he was pretty
Collins good. Is another great one. Another great example. Just guys who went on to play in major colleges. Even just legendary guys. And now they've gone the other way. They got a quarterback who's steady hand, does the job, but they turn it over to their defense. They say, "Go get him," like the Bears. Go get him. And sure enough, this crew does.
Some would say they're the best in the state.
Yeah, I actually think they are the best in the state. I will make a bold declaration here on behalf of New Canaan, which doesn't make me. You're not the best team in the state if you have to say you are. You know what I mean? You play like you are, and that's it. And then you let the rest of the people tell you you're the best team in the state. I think that said, Darien, I think, is going to show up this time. I think it's going to be real close. I think, because again, it's going to be on the turf at Wrench Field. Lots of pressure. I think the fans are going to show up despite, their grumblings that maybe this should be played at the Meadowlands. But hey, look, we got a good state facility here. Johnny Football's in the house. It's a great spot, and you see a lot of alum come out to this game. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be good turnout. I'm gonna go with almost a Darien. I'm gonna go with New Canaan. Can't deny that this team is the better one, but I think it's gonna be a fascinating game this time. But I'm gonna go with Lou Marinelli to win title number 14, which is just insane. So there you go, Pete. That is Class L. And finally, the big one, or probably for number one, maybe we'll have
It is definitely the largest one. It is Class LL.
It is definitely the big one in that sense. It is the Class OO championship. Staples versus West Haven in a rematch of Week 1. Go. In the early 2000s, West Haven and Staples looked as if they might collect state championships forever. The Westies, with an all-time coach and a roster of stars, reached back-to-back Class LL finals, winning it all in 2002 on Phil Banks' 40-yard touchdown run to stun Greenwich, but losing to New Britain and its Black Shirts defense 13-0 in the 2003 Class LL final. Despite a few close encounters, it would be another 20 years before West Haven would get another chance. Staples won 3 titles and 5 straight appearances from 2002 to 2006, the last coming to Masuk in 2005. But despite plenty of close encounters, the Wreckers haven't won since. Adam Behrens knew virtually none of these things when fate dropped him into Westport from Iowa via IMG Academy in Florida.
Something I was not really for right off the bat when it was broke up, but then the more, I got to know Jake Thal and Ryan Thompson, and seeing that those were the kind of kids that you had in Westport. I know pulling up the first day, seeing how nice and huge the school was, the nice facilities, I slowly started talking to him a little bit and kind of started thinking to myself, I'd be really dumb if I didn't actually vet this opportunity out and at least give it a shot. And as we went through it, it ended up definitely being the best decision I could have made at that point.
After posting the program's worst record in nearly 30 years, it didn't take long for the Wreckers to get back on championship course by avenging heartbreaking losses. Knocked from a playoff spot by Greenwich in 2021, Staples won the game in 2022, but lost to Fairfield Prep by a point in the quarterfinals. With versatile quarterback Caleb Smith returning, the Wreckers were poised as a title contender to start 2023, but they were stunned at home by a surprisingly explosive West Haven squad.
Yeah, we definitely got humbled that first game. Great for our humility. We did not play up to our standard. We thought we were a team we weren't, and we found our identity after that game.
Led by the equally explosive Smith, Max Marullo, and Sam Petrosino, the Wreckers took the setback and ran with it, all the way to the state championship game. Their first since 2011. They've won 11 straight, avenging last year's state quarterfinal loss to Fairfield Prep, and now they get to avenge another loss in the state final.
Being back as a program now it's all awesome. I came in this program. We just came off a 2-8 season, one of the worst seasons of Staples history. COVID year the next year, and just building off of those seniors ahead of me, like Benji Teitelbaum, Nick Armentano, Tyler Clark, Zach Roseme. Now being a senior myself, being in this game, it's also surreal.
It's just really cool to see a group all have a unified goal and not just talk about it, but to show up every morning, show up for all the things we ask them to do and to give their full effort all the time. It's cool to see just a buy-in given where it started.
West Haven comes into its first state final in 20 years on a mission to rise above constant setbacks and heartbreak. Led by explosive back Amani Reed and quarterback Jake Conlon, the Westies added transfer Cam Kemp from Hamden and dominated, overcoming losses to North Haven and Fairfield Prep by knocking off defending champion Greenwich in the semifinals.
It was surreal. Still grasping that we got through the semifinal challenge that everybody said we wouldn't get through, and we're finally here.
It feels great. I've been playing with these dudes since Pop Warner. I've lived in West Haven my whole life, so it feels awesome. Like what you said, all the older guys were always mentioning how, 02, we had the OT, the 2002 team came out for a game. They were mentioning how we got to get back there. It's been 20 years. My dad, when he was in high school, I think they won 2 state championships in football, so he was always talking about how they used to be so great. So it feels good to finally be back in the state championship.
Now they're hoping to win a title, not just for themselves, but for the town and their coach, Rich Bochet, who's been a part of the program much of his entire life, which was threatened by a long battle with throat cancer over the last few years.
That man is a strong man. He got through a lot of adversity that many people wouldn't. You know, he here every day. He here before the players. He stayed after the players leave, all that. So, you know, that man is a very strong man. I appreciate everything he did. You know, he been here for a long time, and it took him a long time to get back. So I know it'll feel real good in his heart. I know it'll feel good.
Well, I said before, Joe McHugh was one of my idols. He won a state title. Tom Hunt was one of my idols. He won a state title. Obviously, you know, Eddie McCarthy, what he means to me. He won state titles, plural. So I really want to keep that tradition alive and put my name up there with guys that I've grown up idolizing.
They mean a lot to you.
Mean a very lot to me.
The Westies are also reeling from the loss of sophomore Christopher Hidalgo Pugh, who died unexpectedly just days before the state final. Get ready for an emotional, high-stakes Class L championship game Saturday night, 5 p.m. at Central Connecticut State's Rockville. So, Pete, that is the Class L championship, Staples versus West Haven. Now, while we were putting this preview and this video together, it was learned that right after the luncheon that West Haven sophomore Christopher Hidalgo Pugh had died unexpectedly the day after West Haven's victory over Greenwich in the semifinals. He was a sophomore, not a regular starter, but a guy that a kid that West Haven coach Rich Bochet said everybody loved and had a lot of energy and was just a great all-around kid. They're obviously devastated at West Haven. Just an unthinkable tragedy and just unexpected death to have one of your friends or teammates just unexpectedly just die. We don't know why. We don't understand what happened. He missed the last couple weeks of the season. He did dress for the Fairfield Prep game to end the regular season, but he was in the hospital the last 2 weeks. And when Rich Bochet got the call that got the text that he had passed, it immediately brought an outpouring of emotion and sympathies, as we mentioned, from not just the Connecticut high school football community, but basically football communities across the New England and, in some parts of the country. So, West Haven goes into the state championship game with heavy hearts. I don't know how this is going to affect them, Pete, how as a whole, but obviously this is a tough situation. And before we make our picks here, I think we need to acknowledge, kind of like this just horrible thing that happened with West Haven.
Yeah, it's tragedy. It's tragic. You can't put into words, something like this happening. I don't care that it's the week of the championship. You know what I mean? Like a person that young, losing their life is a tragedy. No matter football player, or championship week, like it doesn't matter. Like just an overall tragedy for the West Haven community. Yeah. And it's horrible.
He was 15 years old. Our hearts go out to his family, his mother, his sister. Just an awful thing that happened. West Haven coach Rich Bochet, again, we didn't know this until after we did the interviews. But West Haven coach Rich Bochet told me that they're going to do, the only thing that they can really do is go out there, get a ring and present the ring to their mother, have the captains go out, bring the ring to their mother. The other thing they're going to do at the game, the CIAC will have a moment of silence. 2 of his best friends are going to come out in his number 70 jersey at the Central Connecticut State's Rockville. And away we go. Staples has acknowledged, they sent their sympathies, and just a lot of people just kind of reaching out to the West Haven community. Again, we don't know what happened. We don't know why, but, just a really tough thing going in. So that said, Pete, I guess I'm going to start off with this. West Haven, has had a great season. They start off again with the big victory over Staples in the opener. Armani Reed's been great. Nick Collins been great. Aiden Coe. The line has been playing. The line was supposed to be the worst part of the D, but they've actually been playing very well. So this is a West Haven probably going to go into this game a little confident. They know what's going on. I did ask Armani Reed about that. You guys, they know they're going to be looking for revenge, and he says they are well aware of that. They are very anxious to play this game and to prove that West Haven is still among the top programs in the state. Been a few lean years. That said, man, Caleb Smith has just been a baller all season long. He's your boy. We've been talking about it all season. Runs with his feet and his arm. He's got some dudes to help him out. Artano and I didn't mean Sam Petrosino. Sam Petrosino's been having a great year. I mean, this Staples team seems like they have figured out what they did wrong in that West Haven game, and they've kind of righted the ship. And I just have a hard time denying Caleb Smith right now. I mean, the kid just can just do it all. And even in the first game, they had a hard time containing him. So Pete, despite the tragedy, despite the emotions going to the game, despite Richie Boucher wanting to win this for the kids, I'm going to go with Staples in this game. I just feel like it's just the Wreckers year, and they finally win that first state championship since 2005, which is just unbelievable. What do you think?
Yeah, as someone who was at that first game, Staples was trying to do things that they did last year. When they had Tyler Clark and James Hillhouse, maybe the best wide receiver duo in the state last year, and Tyler Clark was probably the best wide receiver in the state last year. And Caleb was able to just throw the ball all over the field. That didn't really work with this group. Wide receiver group is talented. It's hard to get back to that level of talent. And, they tried a lot of big plays, didn't really fly in that game. But Caleb, like you said, Caleb did do some damage with his legs. And I think they leaned on that a lot more this year. I don't think there's a player right now in the state playing as well as Caleb Smith is. And you can't even tell when you talk to the kid. He credits the offensive line, he credits the defense. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at him. I'm like, hey, dude, you're pretty good. And I got to agree with you. I think I don't think anyone's slowing him down right now. On the flip side, though, you look at West Haven. I've seen them a lot this year, let's be honest. But even in the game against Greenwich, it was hard for them to sustain drives. 3 of their touchdowns, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 10, 4th and 12 or whatever. Like big plays. They can make big plays, but they didn't sustain any drive. Even on the 4th touchdown, Greenwich turned the ball over on their side. 2 plays later, West Haven's in the end zone. So, I haven't seen that, and I think Staples defense is going to do a better job of containing the big play. But watch out. I mean, this game could flip on the snap of a finger. And West Haven could be right back in it. But I just don't think they're going to be able to do it against Staples. I'm going to go with the Wreckers to be the Double L champion, first championship since 2005, and probably the #1 team in the final GameTimeCT poll.
All right, I agree with you there. It should be a crazy weekend of games, day of games. 3 at one site, 3 at the other site. If you need to go see another one, it's going to be, crisscrossing the state, people trying to find out all those games and everything. So it should be a lot of fun. Pete, thank you very much. It's been a long preview show. We appreciate everybody joining in with us, and we appreciate everyone watching all year. Get out there and go to the games. It should be fascinating. I can't wait. I'm really excited. I know you are too. Let's get to it, man. Finally, at last, let's go. For Pete Paguaga, I'm Sean Patrick Bowley. This is the Meek Runner of GameTimeCT.
I love you all so very much.